Breaking news!
Ladies and gentlemen, Mudahar, Sungrad, Kakash, Hassan, the man, the myth, the legend, more Pegasus, Asmongold, who else? Mudahar, and fuck, I don't know. It's gonna be a big ass video today. So I was watching a YouTuber by the name of Barack Omori. I always get it mixed up. I always say Baraka Omori. No, it's Barack Omori, right? Great YouTuber. Not associated anything, but just a big fan of his. And it's some troubling news out of the United Kingdom, the UK. Now, this guy is pretty much the most credible news that we can get on the ground locally in like the streets of London, Birmingham, like pretty much everywhere that he frequents. And troubling news, ladies and gentlemen, the Jews are under attack. It's really bad. Like it's to the point where if they're seen with their kippas or with their Israeli flags, or even like somebody knows that that's their religion, their background, there's going to be groups of men that will attack them. Now, the video that Barack was showing me had this young male individual who was he had the flag draped around him, kind of like a cape, and he might have actually been like full on Israeli and stuff. And he's being accosted by two Palestinians, and they have their flag. Well, I think one guy has the flag, and the other guy's just like whatever. And they're just like attacking him, and then like one guy grabs him, and then suplexes him to the. No, I don't think it's suplex. What the fuck is that called? When you grab him and then you flip him around and you toss him on the ground, like you break his back almost. It was pretty fucking severe, and the cops were right there doing fuck all nothing, ladies and gentlemen. The police in the United Kingdom are fucking useless, man. They're utterly fucking useless. And that's not all. Like, I am so happy that, I remain objective on YouTube, because there's like, other YouTubers, right? I think he's also a local at in the UK, but I forget his nationality. I think he's Dutch in country of origin, ethnicity, whatever, right? Aesthetic something crap, damn it. Anyways, this YouTuber is pointing out that like during the knife attack by this migrant not too long ago, where this guy had like basically two knives, he's dual wielding knives like a dumbass. Ugh, fucking hell, man. And then he takes like a kid hostage. There was like literally in the thumbnail too. Like that's the fucked up part. You see like this cop cowering behind like a cop car as this guy is going around on a fucking rampage. And he's like, you know what I mean? Like he has a gun, he has a taser. Why are you cowering behind a fucking car for? It's hard to watch, but it's impossible to miss, because the whole idea of disarming you, of confiscating your weapons, your firearms here in Canada. They're doing the whole firearm buyback shit. By the way, we got like a bunch of little ass kids with guns and stuff, and fugitives running around the place. Fuck, man. Like, it's such bullshit. It's such a fucking cop out. And it's so much worse than anybody you could have ever possibly imagined. Because, like it or not, it starts in the United Kingdom and like other places in Europe, like Sweden, whatever, Germany, and then it ends up over here. And like, I guess we're more or less equal to America when it comes to like terrorist attacks, because it's like America has that whole idea of like, okay, the citizens of this country are the ones who are partially responsible for like like arbitrarily, but like responsible for all the bullshit that happens in the Middle East, this and that, right? So they got a bigger target on their back. But like, Canada is no slouch, man. And because it's like a border nation to America, it just makes it so much more appealing, because it's like easier to come in. The immigration laws are so much more lax. That's why Americans hate us. right? And I don't blame them because if our government is basically making a huge security issue north of the border from them, like just coming down, like oh, and by the way, Tyler got canceled by the fucking Jew rats, the dark Jews in Jersey, lawyered up, and like went after his Patreon. Holla at your boy, Tala Oliveira, Tyler Oliveira, the Tyler Oliveira. I was about to say Tyler. I don't know. I was like, oh shit, no, sorry, but here's the thing about this man, right? Um, Tyler is like one of those guys who like literally, broke that story and like created this almost transparent understanding of like why things happen and why they unfold the way they do. So let's take it back a second, right? And I know I'm going like, in circles about this whole like, issue against the Jews and shit, but like, let me just like back it up, right? So back in the day after World War II, you had to like resettle all these people and stuff. Like a lot of them wanted to go to the state of Israel, but then like, a lot of them had to go, stay here, stay there, and live their lives. And they, lawyered up and they lobbied their peoples to like get these insanely beneficial, almost parasitic. Well, they are. It is parasitic. And like this is why we have these illegal immigrants who care nothing about, our laws, nothing, because they see this and they're like, oh, so I'm enabled to, basically fucking treat you like garbage because you're basically a slave to the infidel, and if you're a slave to the infidel, then that means you're like less than nothing to me. Activating their fucking sleeper cells and shit, coming after the Jews and stuff, right? Now, don't go out there thinking that like this video is anti-Semitic or anything, because the reality is, and the Israelis will probably tell you this, behind closed doors, these people, these Orthodox, these Hasidic Jews, are a burden to their local populations and shit because of their pacifistic nature and like their dependency on pretty much everybody else to like foot the bill. Like 100%. The store clerk said 100%. I thought it was like 85. No, he said 100% of the people are on EBT. And like, look, there's obviously a difference between those guys and like other Jewish people. So like they're not all like that, but like this is why we have these like motherfuckers coming out of like everywhere to like jump in your country, stay on welfare for their whole fucking life, and like they just keep telling themselves after the fact, like they'll kill people and then tell themselves after the fact, like make a justification for it. It's like, oh, this guy did this, like, I said that. And like the sad truth is, when I told, like, this is one of my earliest videos, right? When I said that, like, Jewish people around my age should go back to Israel and help fight for their country, help defend it, all that shit. Like, what's the ultimate price that they have to pay, right? The civilians are getting bombed. They're gonna like jump in shelters. They're having their Purim, celebration thing, but like, they're so jealous. You see hot Israeli girls, you see hot Persian girls waving the Israeli and Persian and American flag. They're all like doing the Trump dance, like the news cycle and the media. They hate this. They hate it. They hate it so much. They don't want to talk about it. You barely see it. Like you go on Instagram. Well, obviously you have to like these types of people and stuff, right? Which I do, right? But like, there's obviously the counter, propaganda and shit. It's just so fucking lame. It's like, how are you gonna do this, man? Like, these women, they want to be free. Like, not only do you have to let them, but you also have to, you know, swallow your pride and accept the fact that, if given a choice, people don't want to be a part of your religion. They don't want to be a part of your race. You're given a choice. But like, this is kind of a weird portal of, I guess you can say, hypotheticals. if other people were forcefully converted to Islam, and then like somehow they managed to get their freedom back, like the people of Iran, like how it would unfold, the same things. You'd have people who are like highly indoctrinated, like manic, just like willing to just like off you, just for humoring the notion of like apostasy. But the cold truth and harsh reality of it is, it was always about the women. It was always about the women. You know, the women who will like form the mothers who will take care of your kids, who will like give you good genes and pass on like your bloodline, all that stuff. And because they wanted them so badly to control them for their own personal use and machinations, they failed so hard. It's like legendary. You have actual like people living in free ass countries, trying to go to Iran to fight. I'm serious. There's this one dude who got caught at the airport, and he has like this is how lame he is. He has like a bunch of like camo clothes and shorts and whatever, and then he has this like sign translated like from like English into Farsi that says, "I want to join your army." I'm serious. And I'm like, you look at this guy's face, and you could tell this is a guy who got burned by some hot ass Jewish girl in school, and it's just like, he never fucking let her go, and it's like, there's this thing that even other Jewish men are like this, man. It's not um something that's like, oh, because you're not Jewish, she doesn't like you. No, it's like they're actually gorgeous women. I went on Instagram yesterday. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was because they were celebrating Purim, right? And that's how you spell it. Purim, right? And just picture after picture after like post after post, all these beautiful women are so gorgeous, like it's insane. And now it makes so much sense. It's like, you lost it. You lost all these beautiful women. You can't control them. You can't enslave them and make them obey your cultist ways. And like, you know what the weirdest shit is? Like, the guy gets his son to like take over for him, and like you look at his son and you could tell that this guy has been suited to like take the role for his dad, dog. I'm telling you, you gotta like look for the details, okay? So you know the difference between the old generation and the new generation, right? Where you have like the older generation, they didn't necessarily have all that like on average they didn't have like all the comforts and amenities that most people had on average, right? And you can usually tell that from your older generation, from the face and stuff to like the wrinkles to like the rings around the eyes, all that shit, right? And you see the son, he looks so like he lived the life of comfort, but then he was told like last second, possibly because of like he knew like the Ayatollah knew that like because of his currency going to shit. And I think I posted about this sometime late September, early October. Like the real was just like gone to shit, like worth €0. So like panic was like set in all the way back then. And told him like, yo, grow out your beard. And he looks like he just did that. Just like growing out his beard, and he like trimmed it and like curated it because it doesn't look like a beard that what I mean, like you have for a long time. Like obviously I could be talking shit. It's like you gotta think it's like I'm getting one nervous ass son, dog, because it's like, there's some other IRGC members who have kids who are like, living that life. I think some of them are actually in Dubai or somewhere like that. That's the most fucked up part. And some like, fucking, Miami, Dubai, Miami Vice style type crime shit unfolding in Dubai now, just like trying to like catch these fugitives and shit. He won't catch me. Like they have their own yacht and shit. It has like machine guns on it and stuff. Fuck, dude. Fuck, what am I even talking about? Well, anyways, so the assault on the Jews is most likely happening. Like it's happening worldwide. It happened on Israel. And, it hit their children, their young people, um, and this is what I advise to everybody from now on. You gotta protect the Jews, man. You gotta and this is why I kind of hate this, like the fact that like you gotta say this, right? You see, these animals, they're playing a numbers game. They want to like outnumber these people, quarter them, and then just like mob rush them to the ground and like fuck them up. And I live in Brampton, trust me. I am well aware of these types of tactics and shit. So what you gotta do is you gotta like just like make yourself like noticeable. Walk around like these Jewish neighborhoods and shit, and just keep like an eye out and stuff. Like the more visible you make yourself, and like the more like, I guess you could say like an easier target to like make it seem like it's more inconvenient. Because it's like these motherfuckers are looking for the opportunity to catch these Jewish people alone, right? So if you just see them like a group of them coming out of their synagogue, right? And yeah, they're just gonna get like they're just gonna get like harassed at that point. So you see them, you don't have to like follow them around or whatever. Just like keep an eye out for them and shit like that, because they will get attacked. They will get people coming after them until like you and enough people make themselves visible enough to be like, okay, that's not such a good idea. Like these Jewish people are too much of a risk to attack, and then just like make it so that like this area is just too much people in it, too like whatever, too dangerous. Like they're not easy victims basically. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to take weapons with you, on you, and stuff. Try to understand that just because you're protecting the Jewish people doesn't mean you don't have to protect yourself. They're gonna come after you eventually. And until this becomes like a regular thing where you're just like walking around just messing around doing your own shit, the Jews see you, like they might not like you, they might even be worried about you, but like if you're obviously portraying a non-Islamic type of person, right, like I would, I guess I can wear the stuff that I wear, the makeup, lipstick, nail polish. And like for other guys out there, obviously, like I guess in that sense, I don't know, pepperoni pizza, like oh fuck, I don't know. It's like I don't know, maybe you just piss off the Jews as well. Okay, don't do that. Um, you know what I mean? Just like wear bright clothing. I guess just do what you gotta do, right? I'll tell you why you're gonna want to do this. The second the Jews start leaving, like hardcore, like not the people with families and kids and shit. Like no, like that's what I meant. The people with families and kids. Like you want like the people who are like guys and stuff to like go back to Israel, fight, defend their country, or at least like do what I'm saying to do at the very least, right? Because this is going to be pretty much a new fact of our reality where the cops might be there 5, 10, 15 minutes even after the fact, and it might not end well for them. And once they're gone, the ones with the kids, the ones with the families, the ones that are just like 100% innocent, have like nothing to do with this, then we're all fucked, because they're just gonna keep pushing for more bullshit until it's going to be like, damn, I wish I stuck up for those Jewish people when I had the chance, but now I didn't, and now things are way worse. because that's the end result. That's how it's gonna wind up. Like, you might not like the Jews. I have a bunch of enemies who are Jewish people. I have, like, animosity with these people. It's like, whatever, man. Like, I think it comes to a point where, like I said, like these Persian girls, right? They're gonna want it way out. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, they're gonna. We might meet, like, ideally, like a Persian guy, who has the same self interests and them, and like, continue on their culture, whatever, right? But like some of them, they might not have that luxury, and you gotta help them out. You gotta, like, show them love, share the love, right? Like, if it means, saving the human race from, the subhumans who want to control the concubine, the creation of, like, their spawn, all like inbred and, like, just like masochistic. These are masochists, saying that they want these Iranian people to be slaves perpetually, and that, like, we should respect the sovereign nation. We should suddenly respect, maniacs, crazy people, right? But when it serves, other people's interests, right, like Libya and stuff, then, like, you can't really question it because it's Hillary Clinton, right? You can't go against the Hillary Clinton. I heard she's, like, not doing so well. Her and her husband. How, like, things. I think it was always going to come out. Like, that was going to be an eventuality of it. But, like, we all had this, like, core belief that there were a class of people that would have never, deal with the ramifications of, their shortcomings. We're seeing Tim Waltz, doing the waltz in front of Congress. Man, that guy's so dumb. Fraudsters and shit. But, you gotta, like, you gotta do it, though. You have to be a man. Go out there. Hell, they might not even want you to be there. Be like, yo, go away. You'd be like, yeah, but then that just makes you an easier target. And then it's me next. You brought this on me. You brought this on all of us, you Jew. You Jews, you did it. It's all your fault. All right, take care.